Hello students and welcome back. Today we're going to do an introduction to landscapes. Now each landscape includes three very important and separate areas, each with their own role. Every landscape has a background. This background will be composed of objects that are furthest away from you in your landscape. Typically in backgrounds, we have mountains, clouds, birds, the sun or moon, stars, and things like that. Now, since the items in the background are very far away from the viewer, they will have the least amount of detail. Now, you'll notice as I'm talking, some of these words are actually some of your vocabulary words that you did copy or will copy throughout the year. The middle part of our landscape is called the middle ground. Now, the middle ground is composed of mostly what you want in your landscape. What is the theme of your landscape? If it's a desert, like my landscape right here, the middle ground would be composed of things that you would see or land items you would see in a landscape. I have cactus, I have mountains, sand, and things of that nature. Now, the middle ground usually takes up most of the landscape. In this example here, there's not much detail because there's not too much going on. But as I'll show you in the next project, your middle ground will have the most amount of objects and things in it. Now, unlike the background, the middle ground has a medium amount of detail. Okay, it's close enough to you that you can see the detail in the objects, but it's not directly in front of you. Now, directly in front of you or underneath your feet, if you were to be standing in your own landscape, would be the foreground. Now, the foreground is the area with the most amount of detail. It is the area that is closest to the viewer. You'll see in my foreground I have two cacti, and you can see the detail on the cactus. You can see detail in the rocks and objects in the foreground, which is the very, very front of your landscape. Now, the foreground, being the closest place to the viewer, does not have to be right in front, as you're going to see. I'm going to show you an example of your next project. Okay, in this example, our foreground will actually be the cliffs that are on the side of our landscape. You can see we have cliffs on the right side and cliffs on the left side. Closest objects to us. Okay, so that makes them our foreground. Now, the middle ground of this project will be the area in between where you see the road and whatever other items that you choose to draw in this landscape. Right here there's a cactus. Now these are student examples, and we have a rock formation. Now the background in this landscape again is the mountains, the sun, and the sky. I'll show you another example. Here's another student example of the landscape. You'll see in the foreground we have the cliffside, and they chose to color the top of their cliffs with grass. Then in the middle ground, we have a parking lot, we have a road, we have a side road, we have cactus, we have signs leading to a state park, we have a rock formation and some more cactus and things of that nature. So the middle ground has a lot of items and a lot of things going on. And then in the background, again, we have mountains, we have birds, we have clouds, and we have the sun and the sky. Now, since the mountains are very far away, you're not going to see too much detail on your mountains. Now, these are just two student examples of the next project, which I will be going over and making a separate video to show you step by step how to draw these cliffs and how to draw the rest of the landscape. For today, the little exercise or activity we're going to do, we are going to practice drawing mountains. And the easiest way to draw a mountain is to, and you can do this in your notebook with a pencil, nice and light, sketch with your pencil. You're going to draw a sideways letter Y. Now, why would we do that? Well, this letter Y will help us to separate our mountains to make it look like some mountains are in front of or behind other mountains. If you look at this example, this mountain here looks like it's in front of this one. We are creating the illusion of space and depth. And if you look there, there is a Y. So in your notebook, you're going to practice making a mountain range. I have my Y. I'm going to go up, come down to a point, up a little bit again, and come down. Now, it's very important when you're making mountains to make them wide. If you make them very narrow, they don't look like mountains. Okay, so they have to be wide at the base. So I'll come down on this side and a little bit wider. Now right there I only have 2 mountains. You can continue to make your mountain range by adding more offshoots or Ys. Here's a Y right here, sideways Y. And your mountains do not have to be, and they should not all be, the same size. By making mountains smaller, you're creating the illusion that this mountain is either very, very far away or much smaller than the mountain next to it. I'm going to split off again in a letter Y, go up, come back down. You could do the same thing over here. Split off in a letter Y, go down, up, and down. Now, you can leave your mountain range just like that, or you can add even more mountains by going behind your existing mountains and drawing some other examples. So I can continue my mountain ranges going even further back into space, even further back into my landscape. And you can make your mountains as jagged or as smooth as you would like. It's your mountain range. But I want you to practice drawing these mountains in your notebook. Now, you can take it a step further. You can add a light source somewhere on your paper, and you can begin to shade in those mountains. When we do the project, I will show you exactly how to add a light source and then shade in the side of your mountain. Okay, but for now, practice your mountain ranges, try your best, be creative, and have fun.